Hello guys, welcome to Cherry's project. Today we are going to implement a simple data consumer application using plain vanilla Java. The code, the project that we are going to do, that will be a hands-on project, and we are going to consume from CoinCap APIs. So it's CoinCap data consumer. So what are we going to do? We are going to build something. Yeah, something new, good, and you will definitely like it. We'll use Java, Kafka, REST, WebSocket. In Java, we'll definitely learn Maven, Spotless, threading, executor service, logging, etc. So you'll have quite a good hands-on experience with this project. Please follow me alongside when I do this exercise of implementing something. So what is a consumer? Consumer is something that consumes. What are we consuming here? We are consuming data. From where? APIs of CoinCap. So CoinCap is a crypto data aggregator. They have already exposed few APIs to get some data. Different type of data are exposed using different APIs. We'll be using those to consume. What is Apache Kafka? Apache Kafka is used for real-time data streaming. It's a messaging platform. We will be storing data in the topics. So once we implement this, you'll get good idea of what are those topics. If you want to explore how Kafka works or what is topics or in depth like what is partition and other concepts, you can definitely go to internet and uh, search these things because Kafka is very well known technology. Most of the companies, most of the firms will be using this in one or another way. It's fault tolerant and scalable. It's highly scalable and highly fault tolerant. Like I've never seen any problem in the Kafka till now. Used for real-time analytics and microservices. If you want to like start using Kafka, I think this is a really good guide. Kafka, Apache, or Quick Start. REST and WebSockets. What are these two? Probably you might have heard about REST. Um, WebSockets, not many people have heard about. So we'll go through them. First is REST, representational state transfer. It's an architectural style for network applications. So when two applications like communicate each other over network, then you want a protocol like how things should be done, be defined in a proper way. We use REST for that. REST uses four HTTP method: get, post, put, delete. It's a stateless client server communication. It's ideal for CRUD operations. WebSockets. It's a communication protocol providing full duplex channels. So in REST, uh, when my client calls any server using this REST API endpoint, it will establish a connection, send the request, and expect a response, and then it will close the connection. Now, just creating connection, closing connection is quite expensive one. So, if one client and one server needs to communicate throughout a very long period of time, an n number of messages needs to be transformed through and forth, then WebSocket is the best thing. Here we'll create connection once and it will provide full communication protocol for two-side communication, and that is only closed after the communication is done. So it's a persistence connection between client and server. It's a real-time data transfer and it's live for live updates, chat application, real-time viewing. So definitely a chat application. If you are going like if you go ahead and open your WhatsApp, if you are starting a chat with someone, so it's basically a WebSocket. If two people are chatting, it's not like one REST call is made to like put this message into some Kafka and then it will be picked up by the backend team to send to the server side. No, nothing like that. We have a WebSocket open for two parties and they'll communicate using that one. The connection is made only once. Prerequisite for this project. Following needs to be installed in your system beforehand, so you'll save time. You want Java JDK. I'm using 21. You want Apache Kafka. That's a local setup that we need. And yes, probably you might not want to install Apache Kafka direct hands. You might want to use Docker image because that is one of the simplest thing to install and use it with. Okay, let's jump to code. First, we'll open IntelliJ. I'm going to create a new project. Okay. What shall we change this? Concept consumer field. Concept consumer git repository. Corneto. It's Java 21. Arch type. So what we'll use is quick start. Okay. Additional properties, advanced settings. My group ID will be org sv data. We'll create a new window. I don't want this. Okay. So basically, when you go ahead and start the coding, like if you are starting a new project, you go ahead, open IntelliJ, select the Maven Arch type. I'm using QuickType because most of the project can be implemented using this only. So what it will do is it will create a basic template for you to start from. You don't need to start from scratch. It will help you create some basic template. You have already given your organization group as in like group ID, then artifact ID. So it has created everything. If you go ahead and check the POM file, so this is what Maven uses, POM file to build the project. So you don't need URL here. If you go ahead and check this property, there's some properties that we use somewhere. Dependencies. What dependencies we need? I will not be using JUnit 3, so I'm removing this. If you go ahead and check, the test file will not work anymore. I'm going to reload this. See? So I'm going to delete test. Delete. We'll definitely write some test. Okay, so now this is our plain Java project. What I'll do is run this. Okay, see, hello world. We have a working project started. We'll start from here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I write a readme file, readme.md. Okay, so here we'll write down everything that we are going to use. Definitely, I'm not going to push this readme file into the GitLab. Even before that, I'll help you start one thing. So if you are using Kafka using Docker, and you would want this commands. See, cointf data consumer we have. See, you need to follow this project link. I already implemented this. I'm just going to walk through the code and how we are going to build it. So this is the entire project you want to use, and in that one I've written all the things you need. So once you have installed Docker for your operating system, you can use this commands to start the Kafka server. Okay, so once you start the Kafka server, you might not want this at the very first stage, because when we consume the message, we would want to publish the message to the Kafka, so that whatever next project that we are going to implement can take it from there. This project will become independent. The coupling will be less. So that's why the Kafka message we want to push will be on a Kafka topic, and this is a local Kafka server that will create. But excuse me, this is not the first thing that you might need to do. But definitely, you want Java JDK right now to start your code. Okay, readme.md. So we have used IntelliJ idea to create the project. Okay, now we have Maven setup. So what do you want to do with this? We'll definitely write code, but even beforehand, you would want maybe one of the things figured out beforehand. So that thing is code quality checks. So code quality checks, how do you ensure the code quality checks is correct or not? So code quality, mostly not code quality. For code quality, you can definitely use the Sonar link. So even if you go ahead and write some code, the Sonar link will give you static code analysis, like if there is a code smell or not, that you can use to check if there is something wrong in the code or something is not at per market standard, or how like a good code practice that you have not followed. It will highlight those. The second thing I'm talking about is Spotless. What is Spotless? Spotless is basically code code formatting tool that we'll use to make sure our code is like well written and really clean. So for that, you open your form.xml. Let dependencies be empty. What we'll do is we'll what I will do is go and search for Spotless. Okay, reflect Spotless. Keep your code spotless. Okay. It can be used with Gradle. It can be used with Maven. It has this many functionalities. You can go over that if you want. All we need to do is we have this, right? Build, plugins, plugin, and Spotless. This is all I want. So we have build, plugins, and plugin. Okay, it's good. So this is thing. What does it do? Let me give you an example. See, this is system.out.println, right? What I'll do is plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 args, no, show world. Okay, if you go ahead, open this Maven panel, open this plugins, Spotless. You have two options: Spotless apply, Spotless check. You go ahead and check Spotless check. Okay, it has failed. See, the following file has format violations. Basically, it says I have unlike unformatted file that is there. So you might need to fix that. How can you fix that? You don't need to manually fix that. You can use Spotless apply. See, it has auto formatted your file to make sure whatever lines you write will be like format violation free. Correct? Now you do a Spotless check. See, it passed. Now, if you go ahead and check this form XML for this Spotless, see, we have a version, we have exclusion, some exclusions, we have format, includes, get attribute, get ignore, blah blah blah. For Java, we included production files and test files as well. We have configured import order. Our import order will be in the alphabetical order. Remove unused imports, toggle on or off, trailing white space ends with new line, indent will be four spaces per tab, and we have all this configuration. You can check and add any other configuration that you want to add. Spotless check, remember, Spotless check, not Spotless apply. Spotless check is part of our clean install process. I'm doing clean install, it passed. See, I'm violating my file format again, and now I'm doing clean install. It failed, correct? All I had to do is Maven spotless apply. It did, it completed. Clean install will work. Now, here as well, Maven clean install. It's working. Cool. So now we've configured Spotless. Now we'll jump to code. Okay. So open this. Contract data consumer. Not this. Specify contract. Contract API. If you go ahead and open this page, they'll give you the public APIs. You have two things: RESTful APIs for assets. You hit this one, you'll get this one, this response. You can go over this. Cool. There are many RESTful APIs. Basically, if you hit this, it will give you all of this data. Okay. Then if you hit this with the ID that you opt in from the first request, it will give you only that one only. You don't want entire response. And then history, there is another thing. What all assets, price, US dollar and time, and market, this market, that market, what was the volume traded, the entire data is fetched through this REST API. What is this WebSocket? So in a stock exchange, there are continuous trades going on. There are continuous price fluctuation happening. If you want to get those trade details and price fluctuations, you will definitely not use REST API, because just before I said making a connection and closing a connection is an expensive operation, and such real-time high velocity data if you are getting, then you will definitely want WebSocket. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. We'll be using our REST APIs and WebSockets to consume data. That's our project. We have every details here. Now we'll start over our code. Okay, definitely never use system.out.println in the system. First I'll implement logger. So logger. For logger, you need to import this two things. Or Apache logging log4j, and I don't want this one. Use log4j API log4j. Okay, log4j version 2.23.1. Okay, so now we have this one here. Let's see. I want private static final logger equals log manager dot get logger f dot class. Okay, I'll use logger dot info. If you don't know what is logging, you should definitely search. But basically, even if you are in college and you might be doing system.out.println, that is not the best practice in the industry. No one uses s out in the production code. People always use logging. Logging is the best thing. Now we'll go ahead and start the application. Okay, we have not logged anything. Why? Because we have not configured our logging. So for that, what we need is create directory resources log 4j XML. Okay, configuration. I don't want any of this. I'll just use name equals SU and it's fine for me. Then appenders, okay. Appenders console system.out. I want this, but I'm not using this one. I'll use that's my pattern. That's no more appenders. We want another. You don't need to remember this. You can definitely get this from the online. See, log level info, additivity. I'll add as false. So this should match with this one. Okay, what does it say? Error, loggers cannot be configured without a name. What does it mean? Let's see. We have loggers, we have root, reference equals console, target is correct, pattern layout we have. Okay, so here I found a mistake. I was using logger, not loggers. So basically, if I'm using any logger, then I would want my logger to be appended with name as well, something like this logger, and then I'll use label info name using class and etc. You can learn that online, but definitely This logger, we only want a root logger that will log from every class of the project, that can log from every class of the project, and the maximum level of information it will give you is till info only. So if you like, I'll log levels Apache. Okay, if I have this, okay. So if you mention any of the log levels, so like I mentioned info, will only be will be only logging any logs that has level greater than or equal to info. If you are using debug, the like dev environment, then you'll be getting debugs, info, notice, warn, error, everything critical than that. If you're using only warn logs, you'll not be getting information logs. And how are we going to determine? Using this level equals info. And if you are using log.info, it will be logged here. See, if I'm going to do warn, let me say warn, the timestamp. So the status, the timestamp, the thread, and the message. Correct? Found logger.found. Let me use debug. Okay, debug was below information. So I'm expecting this is not to be logged. Yeah, correct. No logs here. So info. I want info here. Okay. So we have now set up two most important things. One is Spotless and one is Logger. Now we can jump directly into the code to help us set everything. So first I'll do starting concat data consumer. Correct. And most of the application. If you go ahead and check most of the application, it will need one or two, maybe like at minimum one of the configuration files, because definitely the same code that you are going to use will be used in develop as well, like dev environment as well, q environment as well, staging environment as well, and that production environment as well. So what you need to do is a configuration file, because some of the things will be putting into the configuration file. So I'm adding the configuration file in my resource YAMLs. Okay, I'll give host. What I'll add is this one. Oops, this one. What is our host? API concap IO v2. Okay, host. IO. And it's a polling interval. For REST, they are not going to poll every 1 or 2 seconds. Few of the data is not that much frequently changing. If that is that much frequently changing, we definitely do not want to use REST for that. We'll be using WebSockets. They'll definitely give us WebSockets. But even if that the some of the data is provided using YEST, you cannot just hit the server like very frequently. They'll have some rate limiter that will block you from polling at such high frequency. So here we are using polling interval. Polling interval is 60,000. Basically, I'll use it as 60,000 milliseconds. That will convert to 1 minute. 1 minute, correct? And we'll add more configurations here, but for now, we'll just keep two things here and we'll read from this one. So what we'll do is, whenever we want to start the application, we'll copy split path, open this, program arguments, we'll add this file. Why? If you give this file path in the program argument, I'll get the file path in the args. I'll use this file to read the configurations that I want to use for this application instance. correct? What it will, when it will help? Why cannot I just like add this into the some constant file? No, definitely not. You cannot do that. Definitely, if you want, you can do this to the constant file, but there may be many more configurations such as Kafka topics and Bootstrap URL for different environments. This might be different. You do not want it in some constant file. You definitely want this in the configuration file. And there is one practice where if there is a no logical change in the code, then you do not wish to basically like change code for such constant things. A simple jar file for your application with a configuration can run your, should you run your code. You do not want to build your jar file once again. So we'll go ahead. What we'll do is, now Java, I want to read this file from and put it in some Java object. Is public static t read config from file in file name. Correct? What is t here? Our configuration object. Config object. I'll create one more package here. Config. Open Java class. Okay. I'm not using class. I'll be using record. Why record? Not unrelated from there. What is record? So in the Java, you can use classes for storing objects, right? Storing data. We can use record for that. Record is nothing but like a pocho with inbuilt getters. There is no setter. All you need to do is whenever you are initializing the object, you would want to give all of those things at once. Correct? So we have two things right now: string post integer training interval. Okay. See what it had done. Now I can import this. Okay. So you can check this. The configuration file, host and pooling interval are configuration object. String host and integer interval. Correct? I'll go to implementing this. For this, you need to read the file from the path and convert it into this object. File. I have Copilot. It will definitely help me with some code completions. File exists. If file does not exist, config file does not found. Return null, but always throw new exception. Config file not found. Correct. Add exception to message signature. It will add throws I exception here. So my calling method can be aware that okay, this method is throwing some exception, and it will definitely want users to handle those one. Now what we'll do is try file input stream equals, what is object mapper? Object mapper basically is a library, a class that will help me map my object, a YAML file, to a configuration. I don't have that here. Okay, for that, you need to open your form file. That is your dependency file. Object mapper will be JSON data format YAML. Correct? You can reload the Maven. You will have just two importables. Importing this. So now you have this. Now you can directly create return object mapper read value from file input stream using configure object.class. Okay. By chance, it throws some error if our YAML has some problem, or maybe configuration object is not up to date as per new YAML, only input our exception. Correct? This looks good. What we can do is config, read config, we'll call it from the config object. Object is equal to this. Want to make this static. Okay, so static. Okay, just like I said, when you give this method signature throws any exception, then it will definitely inform the caller method to handle such exceptions. So what I'll do is, I don't want to handle it explicitly. I'll say add exception to method signature. So whenever I'm getting this, my main method fails, my application stops. I don't want to do any other things. Correct? So now we have implemented this thing. We have now started our project. Now set up logging. Now set up Spotless. We have created a configuration file. We know how to read from configuration file. Now we can use this configuration file to set up any other things that we want. We'll be using in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. We'll move ahead with this project in the next video. Thank you.